Welcome to Constant Contemplations. This is Friday. Oh yeah. Gotta love Fridays, man. End of the week. Weekend's coming. Even though for some, Monday through Sunday is Friday because they don't work. Oh man. But Friday is Flashback Fridays. And basically how this day works is we look back on something from yesteryear and retrospectively talk about it, go over it, review it, and see how it holds up to today's standards. Because as we know, sometimes things don't age well, and sometimes they do. Some things age like milk, and some things age like wine. And today we're going to see if Avatar, The Last Airbender, aged like milk or aged like wine. I have a complicated history with Avatar, The Last Airbender. It's something that when it initially came out, 16 years ago at this point, I resisted it like nobody's business. I fought against the wave of popularity that Avatar had. I remember I disliked it just by looking at it. I didn't even get to see any episodes. I just railed against the aesthetic of Avatar. Yes, I was that guy, okay? I looked at Avatar The Last Airbender and I was like, this is not anime. They're just copying anime. You guys aren't gonna get my viewership. You're not gonna get my loyalty. I'm only going for the genuine article. Yeah, that was me. I was super weeb. If it wasn't Japanese, I wasn't gonna watch it. If it didn't come from the motherland, I was not watching it. So, yeah, I'm ashamed. I don't like looking back and seeing that I was that guy, but listen, I need to be transparent. That was me. I did not want to watch Avatar. So, fast forward to 2020. The pandemic is happening. We're running out of stuff to watch. I'm getting desperate. And then my wife says, we need to watch Avatar. It's on Netflix now. It's time. No more excuses. We're watching it. And as many husbands know out there, once the wife says something, you don't really have much of a choice, even though she makes it look like you have a choice. So I finally sat down and I said, okay, I'm going to watch this thing. Why not? Let's just binge this thing over the course of a couple of weeks because I have kids, so I can't do it in a couple of days. And we sat and watched the whole series. I have to say, looking back at young, how old was I in 2004? 15, 16, looking back on young 15-year-old John, I want to slap myself. Not gonna lie. That was a dumb decision, John. And it's only a miracle that I did not get anything about the show spoiled. As much as it's in the meme consciousness, none of it got spoiled for me. So everything that I experienced about the Airbender was fresh. Except for the blood bending thing. I actually remember hearing about that. I remember my cousins freaking out about blood bending. But other than that, yeah, it was fresh. I have major regrets. I really do. I wish that I stuck with the show and had to wait week to week, to feel the anticipation of every episode that's coming. I wish I experienced all that. But at the same time, I'm happy because I got to binge it. I didn't have to wait. I know that's a big contradiction, but I am happy that I got to just steamroll through it. Avatar was a great show. It was a simple show, but a great show. Every character had just a great personality. Like there was a great amount of likability to everyone, especially Uncle Iroh. Oh my goodness, I oof, love that guy. My thoughts on the show, man, I really, really enjoyed it. I really did. And the thing about the show that's beautiful is that it's so simple. Like the story itself is very basic, and yet what makes the show so well done is that the show had these great characters. I'm talking from top to bottom. Every character was filled with personality. I loved Aang, the main character. I mean, Aang is just filled with so much childlike wonder, and he's just been like just a old spirit, a old soul, basically, that is living in this new world, at least new world to him, and he's just genuinely childlike and lovable. Sokka. Oh, I mean, Sokka is your comic relief guy, and he fills that role really well. And yet, he's not just a basic comic relief guy. Have you ever seen shows like Family Matters and Step by Step, and you got those characters where they just come in and their whole role is to be dumb and to say dumb things. That's it. That's all they're good for. Well, that's not Sokka. Sokka is hilarious, but yet incredibly competent. He's basically the avatar, so to speak, of the audience. He says what we're all thinking. He's our conduit into the show. Now, of course, you have Zuko. Zuko's great as a character as well, because he starts out, and yes, it's predictable. You know that eventually he's going to make that arc where he turns it around and joins the good side, but he's still very sympathetic. Like, you feel the pain that he goes through, and in fact, he literally wears the pain on his face with that giant scar. You just sympathize with him the whole way through. Yeah, he's a bit antagonistic in terms of he's just a jerk and he's very single-minded about the things he wants to accomplish. But never once did I watch The Last Airbender and say, oh, I'm tired of Zuko, or Zuko's one note. He's just one type. He's your typical enemy type. No, he was somebody who felt and had his own perspective and his own reasons, and you kind of identified with those reasons behind his motivation. You have Katara, the essential, responsible mommy figure of the group. Katara, I was a little worried that she would be pretty one note because she's kind of the stick in the mud of the group in some ways. She's like the fun killer. But even Katara, like, she's just incredibly motherly, and everybody knows somebody like that. Somebody who's kind of sucks it up and says, "Okay, well, everybody wants to have fun, but this is the thing that we have to do." And she fulfilled that role very well. Yeah, the characters in this show are just genuine. They're charming. They're just full of life. I feel like every single one of these characters, I know somebody like that. And they're almost, I know this is taking it to the next level, but they almost feel like family-like. Like you're sitting amongst them when they're camping out, and you're listening in on the things that they're saying. These are people. We can't forget about Toph, the the tough girl, the tomboy. She is just the MVP of the show. I'm telling you, Toph. As soon as they added Toph to their crew, I was just like, okay, how are they gonna lose? How's Team Avatar going to lose? Because Toph just does everything. And then once she like upgraded and started, spoiler alert, metal bending. Oh my goodness. The girl is just too clutch every single time. I'm like, well, Toph is gonna solve it. Every single problem that they came across, I'm like, yep, Toph. Let's go, Toph. So you gotta love Toph. She's very tomboyish. She's very blunt. She's very just no bull jive, just straight to the point, in your face. And everybody knows somebody like that. I might be married to somebody like that. Don't tell her I said that. All right. So, yes, you got the main cast. You got Zuko, who's the sympathetic bad guy. I mean, does it get any deeper than that? Well, Uncle Iroh. Are you kidding me? I mean, I remember seeing Iroh and just saying to myself, "Dang, I kind of don't want to root against him." And of course, you had the Fire Nation as a faction, and then you had Iroh and Zuko as a faction, and they both were kind of after the same thing, but kind of not. And they both served as foils to the Avatar and his friends. And yet, I was just like, is there a way to kind of root for Aang and root for Zuko and Iroh? Because I really love Uncle Iroh. He's just so cool. And I go back to that point I was bringing out about everybody knows somebody like these characters. Some people I know have parents that they just don't get along with, just like Zuko. I feel like I can relate to Zuko at times. Not even at times. I grew up with a strained relationship with my parents, and I had uncles and aunts that served as more of a parental figure than my actual parents did. So that made Iroh even more appealing of a character to me. He was just that guy that was like, listen, I know your dad's a bit of a jerk, but listen, I can help you out here. I'll take care of you. I'll give you guidance. I'll give you good advice. That is just powerful. Okay. That Iroh is one of the best characters in the show, if you ask me. And he has a deep backstory too. I'm not gonna go too deep into it, but he has a long, complicated backstory. And you look at him and you're like, are you really Fire Nation? Because, Fire Nation's supposed to be filled with a bunch of jerks. And yet you don't see that. So absolutely love Iroh. Probably my favorite character. I'm not sure because I just have so many characters that I love in this show. And beauty in simplicity, man. Beauty in simplicity. The story is very straightforward from beginning to end. They're going on different journeys, but it's the people, the characters, the personalities that make this show so beloved. More on The Last Airbender in a moment, but first, a word from our genuinely great sponsors. Constant Contemplations was brought to you by nobody. We still don't have any sponsors yet. Gonna have to change that. Another great aspect of Avatar: The Last Airbender is just the way that they made a distinction between the four nations. You have the Airbenders, who are pretty much extinct before the start of the show, where Aang comes from, of course, which is why they call him the last Airbender. They're the spiritual nation. They're pacifists. They're very calm and very monk-like. They're so peaceful, fun-loving, friendly. Like the few flashbacks that Aang has about the Air Nation, it's just very calm where they come from, and they serve as the spiritual anchor to the whole world. You got the Earth Nation, which is a nation of brawny people, very tough people, people of the land, which is why they're the Earth Nation. And they're just very, very haughty, prideful people. Now you have the Water Nation. The Water Nation was beautiful. Okay, they're like the nation that has a lot of humble family ties. Well, depending on which water nation you come from, because there's the North Water Nation and then there's the South Water Nation. But the one where Katara comes from, because she's a waterbender, they are very, cultural, very family oriented, very down to earth people, very friendly people. And then you have, of course, the Fire Nation. And they're your empire, okay? They're the power-hungry, angry, just stuck up and they're the bad guys. So, yeah, that's what they got to be. Just very power-hungry people. But then you get perspective on the Fire Nation, and then you find out that they're actually very socially repressed. They don't know how to have fun, even though they kind of want to have fun. At least their youths are like that. But that's in a later season. You get to kind of see how they operate on their homeland. So it's great. You get different distinctions and different personalities in their nations as well. And that just further fleshes out the world around Aang. So, simply put, you gotta watch The Last Airbender. Don't be like me and say, oh, it's an anime knockoff. I don't know if anyone ever is like that, but I know I was like that. Don't be that person. Watch the show. If it's good, it's good. It doesn't need to be from Japan to be good. At least that's the lesson I learned. Yes, definitely watch it. I recommend it. Outstanding show. Very simple, but it's a kid's show. So yes, it's going to be simple. You're not going to get all these plot twists and betrayals. You're not going to get a lot of heavy violence or any crazy things like that. You're just going to get pure heart and a clean story from beginning to end. Watch Avatar: The Last Airbender. I recommend it. All right, so that's today's episode. Hope you enjoyed it. This was Constant Contemplations, Flashback Fridays. Thanks for listening.